Welcome back to the place where noise goes quiet and the human pulse of a story comes forward. You are watching Turkish series Stars, and we are grateful to have you here for what may be the most emotionally charged, intricate, and unforgettable chapter we've ever explored. Before we step into the weather of it all, the kind that turns blue skies into thunder, make sure you're subscribed. And if you believe in independent voices that keep asking questions when others give up, tap the join button. Your support lets us follow the truth all the way to the end of the corridor. Now take a breath, because the hush is over, and the echo it leaves behind is overwhelming. For days that felt like years, the industry held itself still. It was the kind of quiet that buzzes, the kind that makes you certain a door is about to open. The sets felt dimmer, premieres felt colder, and you could practically taste the electricity in the stillness. We all sensed something waiting. And then it arrived. Not on a premiere carpet, not buffered by a wall of handlers. The camera found Kagate Yulysoy in a room with no ornament, no gloss, nowhere to hide. A single chair, a mic, the weight of 1,000 unasked questions perched on his shoulders. When he began, his voice was calm but not steady, the kind of voice you use when you've run out of ways to pretend. "I've never had to face anything like this. Silence isn't the answer anymore," he said, and the internet convulsed. It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't spin. It felt like a person trying to speak over the roar in his own head. To grasp the shadow behind his words, you have to look across the room at Hzal Kaya's recent appearances. Those who have watched her for years noticed a new current running under her interviews, a rawness that startled and held. She would speak in bursts, stop, gather what felt like memory, and go again, as if resisting the frame of a talk show. Each appearance dialed up the intensity. Her sentences sharpened, the melancholy in her pauses became its own vocabulary. And the chorus began. What we thought was settled between Hzal and Kagate had been quietly smoldering, and someone had finally opened a window. Whether she meant for it to happen or not, the impact was shattering. He had trusted time to sand down the edges, but the questions boxed him in, the narratives multiplied, and the silence he'd maintained now looked like evasion to strangers who have never stood in his shoes. "I want to ask you, Turkish series Stars family, was Hzal's intensity a hand reaching out, or was it an unintentional siren forcing a conversation the two of them had postponed too long?" Tell us in the comments, and if you hit join, you'll find the community polls where we break down these possibilities together, in real time. What no one could have predicted came next. In a step he once confided he would never consider, one that blurs private codes that many still hold sacred, Kagate said he would take part in a DNA test tied to the narrative at the heart of the rumor storm. He did not hide the decision behind legal letters, he did not outsource it to a detached statement. He said it himself, and meant it. People who saw him in the hours afterward described someone wrung out, standing only because habit and professionalism demanded it. To a longtime friend, he reportedly said, "I am split in ways I don't have names for. But I need to see this clearly, for my own sake, for my family, and for the young life the world won't stop debating." The friend stressed that he talked about responsibility and truth, not blame. What matters here is how he framed it. Not as a spectacle, but as a line in the sand between rumor culture and reality, and, yes, as part of a deeply personal creative journey that grapples with the cost of blurring those lines. The choice took a private ache and turned it into a procedure everyone can understand. The consequence, everything shifts. Where does that leave Hzal? From the outside, her motivations are a mosaic with missing tiles. Some, moved by the vulnerability she displayed, believe we are watching a long-buried ache surface at last, mixed with remorse over choices made under pressure years ago, choices that might be difficult to name now. Others, more skeptical, suggest calculation, that she knows the cameras hunger too well and is guiding the current with precision. These dueling readings, heartbroken versus strategist, are now colliding on talk panels and in comment threads. The deeper twist is that both stars are so adept at turning feeling into craft that the border between confession and performance has dissolved. When they speak, it's never just content, it's a force field. If the mood feels familiar, it's because it echoes a page from television history that shaped a generation. Remember Kuma? The series whose relentless emotional rhythm rewired the way weeknight dramas were watched? Fans who first fell in love with their on-screen presence back then, who still drop Mray's monologue in group chats like a secret password, are watching this unfold with a devotion that leaves no detail ignored. They're reading the negative space between the headlines. Every silence looks like a clue. A lyric dropped on a story becomes a subtext. It's as if Kuma climbed off the screen and into ordinary days, turning an afternoon scroll into a cliffhanger. It's dangerous, this confusion of planes, but also inevitable when the chemistry is that potent. On their timelines, the intensity is fully visible. Within minutes, Kagate's video surged to the top of every feed, the gravitational center of a new galaxy of opinion. The avalanche was immediate and contradictory, lullaby soft support alongside wildfire anger, and a chorus of please take care of yourselves that felt like 1,000 gentle hands. Over on Hzal's page, the language was pictures and fragments, a sepia photo without a caption. A line from a poem about decisions that echo past their moment. A short clip where her eyes finish the sentence her voice refuses to start, while a lonely instrumental sets the weather of the room. Together, those fragments looked like a thread running between their accounts, and the whole world started pulling, desperate to find the knot. But what about away from the screens? Friends who are careful with their words say this was never a game of points. They describe two people who learned long ago to carry themselves with grace, now staring down a dilemma that cuts through grace like glass. The private conversations, we're told, have been gentle, even when the subject wasn't. Nights where the only sound was a clock measuring out courage. Mornings where doorways felt like borders neither wanted to cross, because on the other side was a world demanding answers. A confidant repeated the simplest sentence they've said to each other lately, the one that keeps surviving every hard moment: let's try to be kind, even now. It's the sort of line that belongs in a script, yes, but it means more when it still stands after a real argument. Yet the calendar remains ruthless. Producers wait for confirmations. Brands ask for clarity before a campaign becomes a headline. Journalists stack color-coded timelines that try to impose order on chaos. And a private lab, kept intentionally anonymous, prepares to handle a test that has become a symbol as much as a sample. This is where craft and life rub against each other. The test is real enough to silence bad faith narratives, yet framed within a creative project that asks whether truth can survive the spotlight. In the quiet, you can picture Kagate looping back to the sentiment that started this, that running from something only makes it bigger. Not a surrender, not a confession. Just a commitment to a mirror he can meet without flinching. It's about identity, his own, and the stories. And you can see Hzal, fluent in emotions language, trying to find the line between her right to speak and her right to protect what should be nobody's content but hers. The tightrope again. The eyes again. The heart asking for dignity again. What comes next will unfold in two movements. First, the practical. Appointments, signatures, calendars, protocols that feel tiny compared to the magnitude of feeling they carry. Then, the unchartable, a result that either confirms a fear or dissolves into relief. And just as everyone thought the arc had hit its highest note, it tightened once more. Late tonight, a bare-bones teaser slid onto social media with no fanfare. No logos. No voiceover. One shot, a hallway lit by a door left ajar, footsteps approaching, then a cut like a swallowed breath. A date flickered, and nothing more. The guesses exploded. Is it the launch of a project that mirrors their struggle? A docudrama that turns rumor into raw material and asks the audience to sit with its discomfort? Or is it simply the moment the results will be placed on a table, as if placing a stone in a river to change its flow? The timing was not random. It never is. Call it strategy, call it reclamation, it worked. Curiosity became electricity. And this is the paradox at the core. The same talent that made them incandescent on screen, their gift for shaping feeling into a universal language, now makes every breath look like a revelation. People want to shield them and cannot stop watching them. Headlines keep reaching for shock words, but underneath is a softer mood board, hope, mercy, and the stubborn belief that love can be a choice made again, even in hard weather. So we wait. Not as voyeurs peering into a scandal, but as an audience that grew up alongside their characters and learned a little bravery from them. We wait for the test to be processed. We wait for the answer to find its proper names and meanings within a story that has outgrown the frame. We wait to see whether the two of them can build something sturdier from the rubble of this month. And we wait, maybe most of all, to witness how they write the next chapter, together, or, if they must, apart. With a grace that lets everyone walk away whole. While we wait, the conversation keeps moving. Clips rise. Comments multiply. And that image, a half-open door and a light that doesn't decide for you, lingers like a promise that clarity will come in whatever shape it's meant to take. You are on Turkish series Stars. If this story rested on your heart, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear a gentler voice in the chaos. Tell us, too, which Turkish celebrity should we explore next? Who deserves the Turkish series Stars deep dive? Drop your thoughts below, and if you can, consider joining our community through the join button so we can keep following these stories to their last line. Until next time, be kind, stay curious, and take care of one another.